Welcome to the BA Coaches Show, where we talk all things Nebraska sports all the time. Interviews, breakdowns, rants, and more. Expect it all from the Nebraska diehard, Coach Ben Audi. Make sure you click the like, subscribe, or follow button and enjoy this conversation about our beloved Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Welcome, everybody, to the BA Coaches Show. It's a great day. We're waking up with the 4-1 Husker team, which is the next best thing if we can't be 5-0, right? Before we get into it, I just want to sit and talk for a second. This is coming from Ben. This isn't Coach BA. This isn't host of the BA Coaches Show. This is coming from Ben, me, okay? Last week's show sucked, and that's on me. The BA Coaches Show and the social media presence isn't what what happened last week and over the weekend is not what I want to be. That's not what I want to be in the Husker fan base. I just let idiot fans, like, emotion and anger just actually just get the better of me. I just let the inner turmoil and my personal and professional life bleed into making content and bleed into my social media. And it's a toxic space. And I obviously have not been able to maneuver that very well yet. So if you follow me on social media, you already know I'm going to change how I do things on there. But I also want to apologize because this podcast is going to try and take a shift back to what it was originally intended to be, which is I am a 24-year-old male who didn't get to witness the Nebraska glory days. But I understand football I feel like a decently high level. Still learning more stuff every day when it comes to the game because I eat, breathe, sleep football, right? I need more football talk on this, and I'm going to do a better job of not focusing on what's going on in the toxicity of social media. I spent way too much time last week literally just sitting and preaching about how stupid social media was, and I didn't talk enough football. So we're going to try and get back to that. I hope that shift is good. It'll be good for me, and I think people will like it. What I noticed had happened was that I was gaining followers from all these interactions, but there were people that I really like and enjoy and are close to that did not like my content. And that's not what I want either. They were not wanting to listen, or they're like, hey man, just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I'm stupid. And that was kind of the same things that I had ranted about too, right? Was that people telling me that I was stupid for having an opinion. I was saying, no, I'm very educated on this. And just because someone disagrees with my educated opinion doesn't mean they're wrong either. So I'm going to do a better job of getting on here and not just ranting about dumb shit, because that's not why you guys are here. You guys are here to talk football. You guys are here for the film breakdowns, and you guys are here just to get my thoughts on the game. So that's how we're going to approach this from, here on out. So just wanted to get that out of the way. But with that, let's talk. Hey, you guys already know we had a great segment on 1620 The Zone Monday. Great. Go check them out. Mornings with Sharp and Hanley. I'm on there every Monday after a Nebraska game. A lot of fun. Go check that out. We are getting really close to 600 subscribers here on YouTube. So let's do that. Let's do that like ASAP. We're building and building and building. So let's get that out of the way. Let's do it. So Nebraska versus Purdue. That was an interesting game, wasn't it? That was a very interesting game. Overall, I think I feel fine. That first half was maybe the ugliest half of football I have seen in a long time. And I have coached small town 5th grade football before, and that was about as ugly as I've ever seen. The execution by both sides was atrocious. It was bad. It was about as bad as I've ever seen. Field goal kicking was still bad for us and them too. But I want to talk about some things I liked about the game. I liked how we overcame adversity. I truly, truly believe that the last multiple teams that we've had at Nebraska would have lost that game. Last year's team, I think, would have lost that game. The year before that, I think all the way dating back 2020, 21, like they would have found ways to lose that game. And I'm proud that we found a way to not just win the game. We pulled ahead. We won by 18. I don't care about that garbage touchdown. That game was effectively over. We were up 25 points late in that game. So game was over by that point. So I feel very good about that. Very good about that. I have to just come out and say it. I don't love that it took us so long to get going. And there are some things I'll talk about each phase of the game and give my positives and negatives. Okay. Offensively, I heard all throughout the season so far, and to be fair, some of it's probably fair, that our coaching staff doesn't make any second half adjustments. They come out at a halftime, the offense looks terrible. They can't coach, whatever. And maybe some of that was fair. Here's how I've been seeing it, though. Other than the Illinois game, I don't think you can defend the Illinois game, but every other game, Marcus Satterfield has shown the ability to get a big lead and hang on to that lead. If you look at UTEP, Colorado, UNI, I'd say UNI a little bit too. We found a way to get a lead and hang on to it. So we've shown the ability to do that. We also now have shown the ability to do kind of the opposite of that. So we made a lot of second half adjustments, and I am thrilled with that. I think Marcus Satterfield called a pretty good game. I know there's been some heat on him about that, but I think he called a very good game. I think that sometimes we confuse execution with play calling, and I'm guilty of that as well. And I think sometimes they kind of go a little bit hand in hand. Okay. But I'll read you a text from someone who I know that is a very good offensive play caller. Let me find the text real quick. I should have done this before, but he said, it can be extremely difficult to decipher what's a good call versus a bad call sometimes. So many moving parts. As you said, execution is a major part of it. Maybe they had that play in because of a tendency or a personnel matchup they liked. Also, sometimes the defense makes a good call for what you got dialed up, and that doesn't work. And then sometimes you have good calls and bad calls. Each game, I have multiple calls I'd like to get back and roll with something different. Each game, we also have many plays where one dude misses or does something incorrect and it prevents a big play. One wrong read from the quarterback, etc. So yes, it can be really tough to always adequately diagnose what's a good call versus a bad call. Because two, there's been millions of play calls over the years that have been shitty calls, but dudes go and make a play, and we talk about how dang good of a play call that was. That's coming from someone that I really trust and I really look up to in the game of football. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. I think sometimes we don't. So one of the examples that I've been thinking about is like the Carter Nelson play at the goal line, right? I didn't love it. I'll be real with you. I didn't love it. Shout out to John Gard on Twitter. He said, hey, we're not getting a push up front, so we're trying to put in a state champion high jumper. I get that. That's fair. I still don't love. I think we have multiple running backs on our team that can power the ball in there. I didn't like the call. But I'll give you the other side of it, right? What if that ball goes an extra few inches, he scores a touchdown? Are we going to be sitting here and talking about how stupid of a play call that was? I think the answer is no, right? There's a lot of heat on the end of the Illinois game. That big 3rd and 3 that Dylan overthrew a little bit. Okay, let's just say we had a wide open tight end. He catches that ball, we win, right? What if that ball's not overthrown? Are we still saying it's a terrible play call? The answer is no, right? I mean, that's how I feel about some of these things. And that's kind of what I've been struggling with diagnosing with the play calls is sometimes it's like, why did we do? Well, there's a reason we did it. We can look at individual things and say, hey, we saw a tendency, or hey, like in this Purdue game, Purdue's running a lot of man to man coverage. They're manned up everywhere. So that's why we did some of the things we did. If the execution's not there, that doesn't mean Marcus Satterfield's a terrible play caller, right? That's just my view of it. I think Marcus Satterfield has called a brilliant season so far, and I know people are going to hate that. I think Marcus Satterfield's doing a fantastic job. Now, I think if I had Marcus Satterfield on this podcast right now, he would say there's some things he needs to change up a little bit. I'm not going to go on here and say it's perfect. Every play caller in America, NFL, college, high school, no one's calling perfect games, right? And it's super easy to be, Sunday quarter armchair quarterback or armchair coach and be like, hey, we need to do this, but I don't know. Like it's all they know that after the fact too. You're looking at it with hindsight and knowing what happened. Um, like I'll tell you, one of my biggest criticisms so far of the offense. I got two, and we'll go through. But the first one right now, Emmett Johnson. I think Emmett Johnson needs the ball a heck of a lot more. I think we all agree on that. Emmett Johnson needs the ball a lot more. But I know why. I like what we're doing, but Emmett. Here's I understand why. I do believe with the running backs we have, I do truly believe this. You can agree or disagree. I think running back by committee approach is a good move. I actually kind of like it. But with that being said, when we have such a hot hand, we got to get the hot hand going. You know what I mean? Like, I actually don't disagree with getting all those guys the ball. But when some guy's tearing it up, we got to get that guy the ball more. The other problem I kind of have criticizing is I've seen some pushback on it, but we are still struggling to find an offensive identity at Nebraska right now. And I think there's a few moving parts here with that. I think that at heart, we want to be a run first team. I do. However, we cannot get the run game going, the inside power run game going. Barney was our leading rusher on Saturday. And I don't want to take him running the ball away. Like, I want the ball in his hands. I actually love what he's doing. He is way better than I could have even imagined. However, he can't be our leading rusher all the time, right? We got to get that inside power run game going. We've had 2 games in a row where we cannot do that. That's important. But with that, you could then say, well, are we a pass first team then? Right? If we're not a run first team, that's not our identity. We're going to trust 15. And I hear that. I'm kind of with you on that. I am. I'm with you on that. However, if we're going to trust 15, we got to trust 15 all the time. We're not always doing that. When it's 4th and short, if you're trusting 15, give 15 the ball, right? If we're going to be a pass first team on 2nd and 3, we need to be running, or we need to be throwing the ball. We need to trust 15. I'm not saying abandon the run. I'm not. I think we need to be running the ball more, just more effectively. I'm just saying, if you're going to come on here and say, hey, look at the Chiefs, they put the ball in 15's hands and let them rock with it. That's not what we're doing right now. And the other thing, when I talk about having an offensive identity, is, hey, if we're going to put this game in 15's hands, I know he's a freshman, but hell, I've liked what I saw. If we're going to do it, I'm down. We can't be sending the field goal kicker out there on 4th and 2 when we can't make shit right now. And that's going to change your play calling up too. I think we saw that in the second half. I didn't love that on that touchdown that we ended up having. Dowdell ended up running in that. It got to 4th down. That should have been 2nd down touchdown or minimum 3rd down. I don't know how we got to 4th down. But I think that changes your play calling a little bit, because when you know that you have 4 downs to get it on 2nd down, you might call something a little bit cute, a little bit more high risk, when you know you still got 2 more downs to get it. You know what I mean? So I think we're struggling. The biggest criticism I have of this offense right now is we got to find some sort of offensive identity, because I'm just not seeing it yet. I'm not saying it's not getting there. Or I think I've talked to a lot of educated football people on this, and they 100% agree that they got to find the identity issue. And I'll be real with you. I think if we could, get Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield drinking some truth serum right now to where it's everything that they say is 100% truth. I think they would tell you that, hey, we got to find an offensive identity right now. That's just come from me as someone who has coached, and I've talked to many other people who I very much trust their football mind. Nebraska's offensive identity isn't there yet, but hey, it can get there. Defensively, hey, we were all harping on that defense, right? About how bad they looked against Illinois. And I know it was Purdue. It was Purdue, but can I be real with you? They did what they were supposed to do. Control what you can control. This is what I've told teams I've coached 1,000 times. Control what you can control. You can't control who the opponent is. You don't know. You can't control who's lined up against you. You can control how you perform. And guess what? They performed out of their mind. Yes, Purdue's a terrible offense. Just fired their OC. What are you going to do? That garbage time touchdown at the end of the game, who cares? To me, I don't care. I really don't. I do think this was the first game, so just some little bit schematics here for you. Nebraska has switched to a lot more cover 2, match quarters, Tampa 2, as opposed to the cover 1, cover 3 base we did last year. And I'll be real, I haven't really said this publicly too much. I didn't love it. And not because of it's not what we did last year. And if you go back and look at some of my things that I wrote and said when John Butler got hired, it was never critical of him or who he is as a coach or any of that. I didn't know how he'd mesh because he's a cover 2 guy, and Tony White is a cover 1, cover 3 guy. Like, those are completely 2 different styles here. So I'll be real, I was worrying on how that would mesh a little bit, but I don't think it has meshed very well so far until Purdue. I think this Purdue game was fantastic for that. I think kind of changed how I feel about it a little bit, if you want to be real. Our cover 2 and Tampa 2 looked amazing. This is the best I've seen it look. Sierra Wright at corner played out of his mind. John Bullock over the middle, I'm including his pick 6 in the BA breakdown. Like, that is insanely impressive. John Bullock's playing that. Isaac Gifford is the unsung hero of this defense. Statistically, he's not doing anything crazy. Oh, he's not statistically, but watch pre-snap. Watch who's directing that defense. Watch who's changing everybody around, making sure alignment's right. Check. See who's making sure those DBs are aligned right. See who's calling out these coverages. It's Isaac Gifford. Isaac Gifford's playing lights out with his senior leadership right now. And that stuff you cannot see in a box score. So defense, I thought, played pretty well. I don't want to talk about this next phase of the game. I don't want to. Do I have to? Okay. Special teams. Yikes. Brian Buschini looks good. Overall, though, it's kind of pathetic. I'm not a special teams expert, right? I've been like a very low level special teams coordinator, but like, that's not nothing. Like, I'm not a special teams expert. Okay. So I reached out to one. I reached out to a college special teams coordinator and said, what is going on here? And he told me it comes down to a few things. Execution, obviously, football knowledge, and discipline. And then he said extra emphasis on discipline. We are not seeing that right now. We're not getting, I don't know. I can't say we're not getting proper reps because I'm sure they're doing it. But like, our short snapping is how? How are we in the middle of the 5th game and we're having to switch snappers on field goals, man? Because that's the thing. We can blame the kicker for sure. First one, Shank. Those 2 block kicks were 100% not even on the blocking unit. It's because of bad snaps. Takes too long. The ball's like laying sideways by the time it get kicked. It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible football. And it's kind of embarrassing to be the team that cannot kick a field goal right now. But take field goal out of it. Punt team, Brian Buschini's punting really well. We have gunners going to the back of the end zone, man. running through the back of the end zone like it's a freaking kickoff. We can't be having that. That's the knowledge. That's the football knowledge and discipline right there that I just mentioned. Like, those are the kinds of things that are bothering the hell out of me. And like I said, I reached out. He's not a Power 5, but he is a special teams coordinator at a college football team. And I reached out to him and said, here's what's sent him a few plays and said, what is this? What are we doing here? And that's kind of what he said. To wrap up special teams talk, I am not on the fire Ed Foley train for right now. Special teams is pathetic right now. I'm not going to argue that. I think if things don't improve, I think that's a real conversation. I'm never going to call for anybody's job because as a coach who's been on a staff that everyone wanted fired, and as a coach that has been let go from a job in a very nasty way, I'm never going to go call for anybody's job. It is against everything I believe in. However, I will say that at the end of the season, if things don't improve, drastically improve, I think it's a real discussion. But I'm very much against letting Ed Foley go right now because it doesn't fix a single thing. Who are you going to bring in? I know everyone's on Bill Bush right now. I'm not going to say what I don't think that's not a real possibility to do mid-season. I'll say it. Who are you going to bring in right now? There's no one you can bring in. There's not. What are you going to do? There was a talk of I saw some decent thoughts. And I guess I do kind of understand a little bit of your point. I'm not going to come on here and like talk smack. Like, I do kind of understand some of the discussion of there needs to be accountability. We need to show if you don't do your job, there will be consequences. Hear you on that. I actually do. But again, I don't think it makes the problem better. It only can make it worse because you're not going to bring in a guy whose completely sole job is dedicated to special teams. Again, is it going good right now? No. But I don't think you're going to fix it by just letting him go. You know what I mean? That's just kind of my thoughts there. Overall takeaways from the game. Hey, like I said, we're not 5-0, but the next best thing is 4-1. We're getting better. If you can't see that, I'm sorry. If you can't see that this program's heading in the right direction, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk or preachy or whatever. I'm just saying if you don't see this team is getting drastically better from last year and that Matt Rule's taking this in the right direction, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. And it's going to be hard to have a good football conversation because I'm seeing something that you're not seeing or vice versa. You know what I mean? So I strongly believe this team's heading in the right direction. The turnover margin has been remarkable. And like I said, I've given a speech in front of coaches before, a whole slideshow presentation about Matt Rule and turnovers, how important it is for him. And they're improving. That turnover margin is huge. Go check out Generation Red. He puts on Twitter, he puts out a big, good breakdown every week after the game about how significant that turnover margin has improved. It's huge for all of college football, but it's even bigger for Matt Rule. Matt Rule's teams significantly live and die on that turnover margin. So that's getting a lot better. I think Dylan has taken control of this offense better than what we thought. I'll be real. I think our coaches are a little bit surprised in a good way, but a little bit surprised at how good our quarterback and wide receiver play has been. And I think that plays into our identity problem right now. I think we're struggling because we want to be a run first team, but holy cow, we got such a good quarterback and some really good big physical receivers right now. So I think that's a tough balance. So overall, I feel pretty good. Before we wrap up the episode today, let's get into the BA breakdown. I got 3 plays for you. Some of these plays are carryover from Generation Red. Go check them out as well. They got good stuff. They have a segment of me on there, so go check that out. Let's get into the BA breakdown. You guys already know the situation here, but I'm going to show you guys because this was textbook fly motion jet sweep you'll ever see. We're under center here too, which makes me love this even more. This is one of those calls that Marcus Satterfield did a great job on because a few things I want to point out here. One, Purdue's in completely man coverage here. They're completely manned up across the board, and that's going to be super important to notice here. Okay. First thing I want to point out, obviously, we got the safety rolling down. He's manned up on Barney here. Okay. Don't look at the motion. Don't look at the handoff. Don't look at Bullock yet. We'll get to all that. I want you to watch our front guys. This is Wave. They sell the absolute you know what out of this. Like, if this was a handoff right here, we got a lane. They bit on this. The only two people on the field that know Barney has the ball is our force player, who did not do a very good job, and then our manned up guy. But look at that. That was beautiful. All of us moving in the same direction. This is good O-line play. This was good offensive line play. Just they sold the crap out of this. Now, when we talk about them being in man coverage, why that's important, this is how you teach this. We ran this play earlier in the game and didn't have the same success. If they're running any sort of zone coverage, particular cover 2, this play is not going to work. Because when Alex Bullock disengages here, this corner's manned up. He thinks that Bullock is just disengaging to go run a route. He is manned up here, so he's trying to get. But look, the ball's right here. We got eyes because he's covering his man, right? And then Alex Bullock does like literally what you teach. Like, he takes out both of them, dog. Like, that is insane. Like, that is, to shout out another podcast name, like, sorry, but like, that is no block, no rock. You know what I mean? Like, hey, that is blocking. That is taking your job as a wide receiver. Man, as a former wide receiver coach, this is the type of stuff you want to just see. You see man coverage. It's a beautiful play call. Completely locked up. Boom. And then just turn on the burners, my boy. Turn on the burners. We'll play it back for you in full speed. Overall, that is just a beautiful play. That is everything you want to see. Everything you want to see from it. Turn on the burners. Peace out, sucker. This was my favorite play of the day. I'm sure it was some of your guys' favorite play too. This is what we got for our 4-man front. This is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Tampa 2 defense, okay? And I know that not everyone's going to know what Tampa 2 or cover 2 defense, what the differences are. So I'm going to try, without wasting time here, because I don't want this breakdown to be forever just explaining, I'll try and give a quick explanation. Cover 2, we're going to have 2 deep safeties, okay? Easy to see who those guys are. We got our corners covering the flats here, right? And we got, in a traditional cover 2 defense, we're going to have a hook, but curl flat, hook. Okay? Pretty simple. Tampa 2 defense, obviously, you guys know the history behind that. Tony Dungy did a great job running this. It originated down in Tampa Bay. We're going to have middle linebacker. He's going to drop deep. He is going to drop deep into coverage. You guys see that? So now we're going to have a little bit more, but now there's just some overlap here. These guys' zone's a little bit bigger. Tampa 2 defense is very good. I really like the play call here. So Tampa 2 defense, you can see he drops a little bit more. We got a little bit of a hole here, but look, we got 1, 2 guys. We're going to break on this very well. But something I also want to point out, so I'll be real with you guys just to kind of throw my thoughts in just a tad. We switched from a lot of cover 1 and cover 3 to more quarters looks, which is splitting the look into 4. We've run a lot more cover 2, Tampa 2, right? I hadn't loved it. I didn't hate it. I just hadn't loved it because that's not what we did well last year, right? I know I'm just throwing my personal thoughts in here for a second, but I'm saying all that to say this right here was good. This was the best we've ran it, not just this play, this entire game. We did a very good job running this. So as you can see, yes, our corners are covering the flats, but look, we have our eyes. No one's in the flats. So what are we going to do? We're going to keep pushing vertically. Keep pushing vertically. We had the check down here, and I think if Card's eyes would have went here, I think Bullock would have broke that way. But since zone coverage, you can keep your eyes on the quarterback, right? Especially these hook guys. You're going to be able to dictate with the eyes a little bit. You're going to be able to look at the quarterback and see where he's telegraphing that throw. He sees this ball as being telegraphed here. Right now, he kind of switches his eyes to deep. We have that window there. I think Purdue was caught off guard a little bit by dropping so deep. I think dropping deep here and dropping deep here, I think that caught them a little bit off guard because that's an easy interception, but Bullock makes a fantastic break on that ball. Beautiful break on that ball. Boom. And I just want to point this out. John Bullock's got a little bit of vision on him. Look at that. Look at that cutback. I just want to point that out because that made me happy when I watched this. When I was watching the game back, I didn't realize dude might have some vision. But I'll play it for you guys in full speed. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this breakdown because this was a beautiful play. This is probably my favorite defensive play of the game. Just beautiful Tampa 2. That's how you draw up Tampa 2 defense. Dropped it right in the window. Pick 6, baby. This is kind of a play I just kind of wanted to include in here because I think it's interesting. Okay, so it's just like kind of a normal pass, and I like what Dylan does here. It's been an interesting strategy that I think has been intentional. Love the pass protection. Our offensive line has actually done a pretty good job on pass pro. We had potentially open banks here, maybe here, but we throw the ball up. And I think this has been a strategy against when they are in super tight man coverage. This is only going to work against man coverage. So that's why I'm pointing it out, okay? Because I think they're obviously in man. That's why we have some of these crossing guys getting open. It's an intentionally underthrown ball to draw DPI. Now, the reason I'm saying this is only going to work sometimes is when this ball's underthrown, if this guy's playing zone and looking up here, that ball's picked. But since Purdue has been so man heavy and they ran a lot of man this game, the only thing when that ball's underthrown, the only thing our receiver can do is go back for it, drawing contact, instant penalty. That's the good part about having such big, strong, physical receivers and a smart quarterback. I do keep seeing the talk of Dylan underthrowing balls is, criticizing him. I can't say for sure, but I believe this has been intentional because he's really only doing it against man coverage when we could draw DPI. So that's what I think's happening there. Just kind of wanted to throw it in there. There you go. That's Coach BA breakdown. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that this week. We're getting ready to wrap up this episode. We're going to try and talk Rutgers later this week. I'm unsure if I will be in Lincoln for the game or not. I think I am, but I don't know yet. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys go check out nbnrpodcast.com, Red Zone Reflections. Go check out my YouTube, like, subscribe, share that out to everyone. Let's hit 600. Go to characterchronicles.com. Go to 1620 The Zone every Monday. They post a clip on YouTube. They also post on Spotify. I have a segment on there every single week talking Husker football. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for all the support. Like I said, we're going to get this channel back to what it was originally meant to do, which is talk Husker sports. So we're going to do that and not worry about all the outside noise. I may mention a couple of things like, hey, I'm hearing this, but here's why I agree or disagree, but I'm not going to start ranting about that shit anymore because it's not what this is supposed to be. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy. Go check out all the other Husker podcasts. Let me know. I appreciate you guys for supporting as always. GBR and in rule we trust, baby.